Guys, I know some of you out there are really big into doing your own property management, so I put together some tips I've learned by my experience working with my property management company to help you better manage your properties. The goal of this is not only to have happy tenants, but to also keep you out of trouble with the law. Now, if you don't know me, my name's Augustino, and I'm a real estate entrepreneur, syndicator, and investor. On this channel, I share some of the stories, lessons, and advice from my journey in the multifamily real estate space. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and push that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave a review or comment. I'd love to hear who you are and what you're up to. So, let's go ahead and dive in. Number one, screen your tenant prospects. Get an application with their signature on it that will allow you to do a criminal, credit, and public record check. You'll also want to look at their financial and income situation to make sure that they can cover the rent. If the prospect has some previous evictions, some violent crimes, or some other nasty lawsuit going on in their life, you may want to reconsider having them as a tenant. And then finally, call the previous landlord to see how they were, and the current employer to verify that they actually work for them. You'd be surprised how many properties that we've acquired where the previous landlord just didn't do any of these things. But if everything checks out, get to know them. You'll want to ask them if they have any pets and if they've been housebroken. Do they plan on getting a roommate in the future? Do they work the night shift or any odd hours? Do they smoke anything? And if they do smoke, do they smoke indoors or outside? Do they have any friends that'll be spending overnights at the unit and that won't be on the lease? Be aware that you need to abide by fair housing rules. I created some content as it relates to pets, and I'll include that link in the description as well. So go ahead and check that out. Number two, always get a lease. Having a standardized lease for all your units is critical to protecting you and to protect your property. Make sure that everyone that lives there over the age of 18 signs a lease. Here's an example of why. You have a married couple that move into the unit. The wife signs the annual lease, making her responsible for the rent. 2 months later, the wife decides she wants to leave the home and the relationship. The husband is not obligated to the terms of the lease because he didn't sign it. Spend the money and get an attorney to draft an actual document that'll hold up in court. There are many places online where you can just download a lease, but I don't recommend that. Every state has very specific laws to cover everything from fair housing to late payments to security deposits. An experienced attorney that will make sure that all these laws are followed and keep you out of trouble. It's also worth noting that having a lease in place will also help you when you go to sell or refinance the properties, as banks typically want to see that this information is in place, and it's good for deal underwriting for the banks as well. So that's a must do. Number three, document everything. When you are onboarding tenants, take plenty of video and take plenty of photos of the property. Have it stored online, on the cloud somewhere, so it can be accessed at any time. Be sure to have the tenant sign off on a checklist that outlines the current condition of the unit. After they've settled in, document any and all phone calls, emails, text messages, everything, as well as the outcome of the discussion. If you are unable to do it yourself, hire a VA, a virtual assistant, to keep track of those items for you. All this will become very important if you need to evict down the road. Number four, issue a 3-day if they're late or violate the terms of the lease. This part is so important. If they do not pay, send a 3-day notice immediately by certified mail or by taping it to their door. I prefer my managers hand it to them, as they're counting the 3 days will not begin until the tenant has the document in their hands. When they have the notice, the tenant will have 3 days to either pay the rent or move out. So you can offer them help in the form of contacts to the local church or for food or money to cover the rent, but make certain you kick off that 3-day without any delay. It'll be up to you if you want to accept partial payments or work with the tenant to get them caught up. It really depends on their track record and how far behind they are. Further, you'll need to turn the unit over once they leave, which can cost you thousands of dollars. So this is something you want to consider on a case-by-case basis. Besides the cost of turning the unit, it's expensive and time-consuming to go through the eviction process. So regardless, you're under no obligation to do anything outside of the terms of the lease. My personal experience is that most times it's best to cut your losses, let the tenant out, and push on with an eviction. But Your case may vary. Number 5, file the eviction. In some areas, it could take as long as 60 days to get a writ of possession that will ultimately get a non-payer out of your unit. In that time, you'll not only lose rent, but they'll also poison the other tenants as well in your community. You'll be surprised what a tenant will come up with in terms of deferred maintenance and an action on your part as an owner. This is why documenting any and all interactions, like I mentioned before, is absolutely critical. While this is going on, you as a landlord can't turn off utilities, you can't change locks, and you can't have their belongings moved either. Those sorts of things will get you sued. Now, as a side note, make sure you have the right insurance on the property in case there's a whole lot of damage caused by this tenant, or you get some unscrupulous tenants that may try to sue you. I've heard of stories where a tenant faked a garage door falling on top of them just to slow down the eviction and get some insurance money out of the deal. Make sure that you are covered, okay? Those are my 5 management tips for the DIY landlord. Personally, I prefer to bring on professional property management on my deals to help my team and I really execute. They handle the routine and emergency repairs. They maintain good relations with the residents. They collect the rents. They track the tenant deposits. But most importantly, they know all the federal, state, and local laws that help keep us out of trouble. They keep that aggravation down to a minimum and help us focus on building the business and scaling our business as well. With professional property management in place, I don't need to be on call 24/7. I can focus on my core competencies, and that's operations and acquisitions. If I want to be my best and provide the best values to my investors, I can't use my time becoming a master of all laws and ordinances that govern precisely how to manage a rental property. So many property managers are great at what they do. So let them focus on that while you focus on the acquisitions or whatever else that you're good at in terms of your core competency. In my experience though, bad tenants make up the majority of the problems when taking on a new deal. So underwriting tenants, that first thing I mentioned, is absolutely critical to seeing your multifamily deal succeed. As you speak and get to know the potential tenant, trust your gut and back it up with data, in the form of a credit check and a background check. Just be careful not to overstep your boundaries and break any privacy laws or any fair housing laws or any other laws as it relates to service animals especially. And remember that there's no such thing as an income producing property. Properties don't produce income. People and systems, they do, okay? So anyway, do you have any tips for finding good tenants? Have you recently transitioned to a professional management company? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you and love to chat with you there. And of course, if you like this content, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and share. Also check out the Bulletproof Cash Flow podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. And don't forget to subscribe onto our YouTube channel as well. And hit that notification bell so you can get notified when we put up new videos and other new content. If you're looking for coaching, reach out to us at bulletproofcashflow.com. We're working on getting some new content out to you guys every single day to help you build success in the world of multifamily.